I'm Melanie, and this is Melanie's Yoga Couch. Today we're going to be especially mindful of the lower back. So come to lying on your mat and just start to connect with the breath. And then bend your knees, bring your feet to the mat. And then hug the right knee towards your right shoulder. You might leave your left foot on the mat. You might extend out the left leg. Flex the feet. And then we're going to move into a twist. So with your left hand, guide the right knee over towards the left. Bring the right arm to a cactus arm or extend it out. You can rest your right foot on the left leg and look over the right shoulder. Inhale the knee back up, hug the knee into the chest, and then bring your right foot to the mat. We're going to cross the left ankle over the right knee, making a number 4 shape with the legs. Interlace the fingers behind your right thigh, and hug the right knee towards the chest, flexing the left foot. And then release the thigh, the right foot comes to the mat, and then the left foot comes to the mat. We'll bring the feet mat width apart and let the knees fall together in the middle. The hands come to the stomach and you breathe deeply into the hands. And then we'll come into the other side. Hug your left knee into the chest and maybe extend out the right leg or maybe keep the right foot on the mat. It's up to you. Flex the feet. And then come into the twist. The right hand guides the left knee over towards the right, resting the left foot on the right leg. We're looking out over the left shoulder. And then start to release out of the pose. Setting the left foot on the mat, crossing the right ankle over the left knee, and then interlacing the fingers behind the left thigh. Both feet are flexed. You can intensify it a little bit by bringing the weight over towards the left. And then release the thigh, release both feet to the mat, and let the knees fall together in the middle. The hands come back to the stomach, and we breathe deeply into the hands. And then hug your knees into the chest. Give yourself a little back massage, rolling from side to side, doing circles with your knees. And then start to roll back and forth a couple times until you come all the way up to sitting. We're going to come forward, rolling onto the feet into the forward fold. Bend your knees as deeply as you need to release in the back. Really, we want to be mindful of the back today, especially today. So bend the knees, grab your opposite elbows, and just swing a bit from side to side, enjoying the release. Then release your hands down. We'll start to roll up to standing, really keeping the knees bent, letting the head get heavy, letting the arms get heavy. And then find your way all the way up to standing. Open your eyes. We're going to turn around so that we're at the back of the mat, looking towards the front of the mat. Bring the hands together at the chest, and we're going to come back down towards the mat just how we came up. So let the chin fall to the chest, the upper body's heavy, and we're rolling down until the fingertips reach the mat. We'll wander forward with the hands, finding our way into downward facing dog. Whenever we're in downward facing dog today, it's important to keep your knees bent. We really want to lengthen the spine, reach the sit bones towards the ceiling. You can walk your dog out here, bending and straightening the legs. Once you find the neutral position, just really bend the knees and lengthen the spines, pressing the hands into the mat. On your next inhale, glance forward, step the right foot forward and bring the left knee to the mat. Squeeze the legs towards the middle and then walk your hands up to the right knee. We're going to bring the hips back a little bit so we can really drop the tailbone towards the mat, activate the stomach, and then let the hips come forward. Bring the hands to the mat, start to wander backwards with the hands coming into half split, lifting the right toes, bending the right knee as much as you need to, and lengthening the spine. Inhale, come back forward, press the hands into the mat, step back with the right foot into downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank, exhale all the way to the mat. Inhale, press the tops of the feet in the mat, lift the chest in cobra. Exhale, coming through child's pose into downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot forward, bring the right knee to the mat, and then walk your hands up to the left knee. Again, lifting the hips a little bit so we can really sink the tailbone and activate the stomach, and then sinking the hips forward. Really trying to lengthen that hip flexor and the front of the right thigh. Let the hands come down to the mat. We'll walk the hands backwards, finding the half split, lifting the toes, bending the left knee as much as you need to. Inhale, come forward, back into the low lunge. Step the left foot back into downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank. Exhale all the way to the mat. Inhale, lifting into cobra. And exhale, pressing back through child's pose into downward facing dog. On your next inhale, step the right foot forward. We're coming up into high lunge, so squeeze the legs into the middle, bring the hands to the hips, and lift the upper body. Bend the left knee deeply, sink the tailbone, activate the stomach, and then sink forward, bending in the front knee. Inhale, draw your left arm up and over, reaching over towards the right. Inhale back to center, bring the left hand back to the left hip. Bring both hands down to the mat on either side of the right foot. Step the right foot back into downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank. Exhale all the way to the mat. Inhale into cobra. Exhale, press your way back through child's pose into downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot forward, squeeze the legs towards the middle, bring the hands to the hips, and inhale up into your high lunge. Sink the tailbone, activate the stomach, and then bend deeply in your left knee, starting to straighten the right leg. Inhale your right arm up and over towards the left for a nice side stretch. Active legs. Inhale back to the middle, right hand to the right hip. Bring both hands forward, framing the left foot, and then step the left foot back into downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank. Exhale all the way to the mat. Inhale, find your cobra. Exhale, press back through child's pose into downward facing dog. Bring your right knee behind the right wrist, right foot behind the left hand. We're coming into pigeon on your right side. The left toes are curled under. We're squeezing the legs towards the middle. It's like you want to pull your left knee forward. You'll lift a little bit off the ground. You can stay here. You can start to walk your hands out in front of you, maybe coming to the elbows, maybe resting your forehead on the hands. Either way, keep your legs active. And then just try to relax everywhere else in the shoulders, in the face. And then inhale, start to press yourself back up. Lift the hips. Send your right foot back into downward facing dog and give your legs a nice little shake. We'll move into the other side. Bring your left knee behind the left wrist, left foot behind the right hand. Coming into pigeon, squeeze the legs towards the middle, drawing the right knee forward and the left hip crease back. And then start to walk yourself forward just as much as it works for you in your own body. You can also set the top of the right foot on the mat. A couple more breaths. And start to lift yourself up. Lift the hips, send the left foot back into downward facing dog. Just give the legs a nice little shake. And then inhale forward into plank and exhale your way all the way down to the mat. We're going to move into Sphinx, bringing the elbows underneath the shoulders, the forearms parallel. If this is too much for your lower back, go ahead and bring the elbows a bit forward. Otherwise, press the tops of the feet in your mat. Press the pubic bone into the mat. And look just a bit beyond the fingers. On your next exhale, lower all the way down, resting your forehead on the hands. We're going to move into a couple sets of Shalabhasana. So bring the arms by the side, palms facing down. On your next inhale, lift the chest from the ground. And then start to lift the thighs up, and then the hands reaching the fingertips towards the back of the room. Imagine you want to rotate the inner thighs to the ceiling and release in your butt. Exhale, come all the way down and bring one side of your face to the mat. One more breath. Bring your chin to the mat, interlace the hands behind the back, reach the hands towards the back of the room, and lift the chest. And then lift the thighs up off the mat. Remember, you want to feel like you're rotating the inner thighs towards the ceiling. One more breath. And slowly bring yourself on down and look in the other direction. One more breath. And then bend your knees, grab your ankles or your feet, and kick into your hands, lifting the chest up off the ground, really letting the stretch go into the shoulders, or kicking back, keeping a nice space in the lower back. You can also start to lift the feet towards the ceiling just as much as it feels good in your own body. And then release the feet, gently coming forward into laying on your stomach. Go ahead and give the hips a little shake. Breathe deeply into the stomach. And then bring the hands by the sides. We're going to push the hips back, coming into child's pose. The knees are together, the arms are on the sides, palms face up, and the forehead is resting on the mat. You might need to put a blanket underneath the forehead if it doesn't reach the mat. Breathe into the back. And then start to roll yourself up to sitting on the heels. We're going to scoot the feet over to the side and bring them out in front of us. The soles of the feet on the mat, the knees bent. And then just rest your upper body on the knees, letting the forehead sink to the shins or the knees. Really enjoying this release in your back. And then inhale back up to sitting. We're going to bring the feet hip width apart and roll all the way down to lying on the back. Slowly, vertebrae for vertebrae. And then scoot the feet in close to the sit bones, hip width apart, the arms on the side, palms facing down. On your inhale, lift the hips into bridge. Exhale, roll the hips back down. Inhale, rolling up, trying to stimulate each vertebrae. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release the hips to the ground. One more time, inhale, lift, and we'll stay here. Maybe clasping the hands underneath the back, scooting the shoulders underneath the back, pressing the feet into the mat. One more breath. And then release the hands, release the hips towards the mat, and bring the feet to the edges of the mat, letting the knees fall together. The hands come to the stomach, and we breathe deeply into the hands. Leave the feet where they are. We'll bring the arms to the side in cactus arms or outstretched. We're going to come into some windshield wipers. So we'll just, with the exhale, let the knees fall over to the right. Feet stay where they are. Inhale the knees up and over. Exhale towards the left. You can look in the opposite direction or just leave the head where it is. Inhale, knees up. Exhale towards the right. Inhale, draw the knees up. Exhale, let the knees fall over towards the left. Inhale, knees to the middle. We'll hug the knees in. And then just stretch the legs out, coming to lying on the mat. We're going to come into banana. So reach your arms out over the head. And we're going to leave the hips where they are and reach the arms towards the top right corner of the mat and the legs towards the bottom right corner of the mat. So we look like a banana. If you want to intensify, you can cross the left ankle over the right ankle. But it's a really passive pose, so you don't need to push or pull. Just get really heavy. We'll be here for quite a few breaths. Connect with the breath. And then bring yourself back to the middle. We're going to take a short Shavasana just so that we can absorb the pose. And then we'll move into the other side. Bring the arms over the head. And then leaving the hips where they are, we'll move the arms over to the left top corner of the mat, the feet over to the left bottom corner of the mat. You can cross the right ankle over the left ankle. And then just get heavy. Using this chance to connect with the breath, to observe the body. And then start to release out of the pose. We'll find our way back into Shavasana just for a moment. And then hug the knees into the chest, roll up to sitting. Grab a pillow nearby, maybe on the couch. Set it underneath your knees and roll back down into Shavasana. This helps for a nice release in the back when we come into Shavasana. And again, just start to use the breath to release, to get heavy. Just a few more breaths here. And then start to wake yourself up. Small movements in the hands and feet. And then bring your feet to the mat, bend the knees, and roll over to your right side. And then start to press yourself up, coming into a seated position. And just bring your hands together in front of the chest and thank yourself for taking the time out today for yoga. I hope to see you next week. Namaste.